Support for Steppin Out is made possible by local author Sarada Barnett. In Notes of Forgiveness, Barnett shares her childhood story as daughter of famed rockabilly singer Sherry Davis. Notes of Forgiveness, available in bookstores and at saradabarnett.com.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott Labore, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, Poppy Tucker, host of the WWNO radio program, Louisiana Eats. Hey, Miss Poppy.
Hi, Peg.
Great to see you. She's back, Susan Larson, host of The Reading Life, also on WWNO 89.9 FM. Hello, Miss Susan.
Hi, Peg.
And theater critic Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News. Hello, hello.
Hi there.
So much to talk about, including a little later, Tennessee Williams, of course.
So many anniversaries are happening this year. And of course, we've talked about Antoine's big 175th. So this appears diminutive in that context. But both Emeril and Susan Spicer are celebrating 25 years of having their restaurants in New Orleans. At Emeril's, the celebration is going on, and there's been a changing menu, but they brought back a lot of their classic favorites. And looking back, it's very interesting, the things that Emeril created, like salmon cheesecake. You know, there was a time when there was no salmon cheesecake. Of course, the delicious Quail Milton is on the menu. There's pecan pie or strawberry shortcake, and it's all available a la carte, and this is happening through March the 25th. So celebrate with Emeril. Look at the banana
cream pie. We're so used to it, but you're right. It's like he created
old, beautiful classics. And then so much that Susan has created, but she's keeping it a mystery. And the way that she is celebrating her 25th anniversary is one night only. So it's a really special event. And you know, Bayona, not a very big restaurant, limited seating at 6, 7, and 8 p.m. It's April the 8th, I think, is the date. I thought it was in my notes. But anyway, it's in April. It's the first week of April that she's doing this. The dinner is $85, and I'm mentioning it early because it's going to be so hard to get a seat at any of those three. Of course, it's all on our website. And I expect to see some yummy things like that duck sandwich with the pepper jelly. You ever have that at Bayona?
Yum.
Oh, her barbecued shrimp. Look how delicious. Oh, Susan's food is perfect. And this is one of my favorite things, the goat cheese crouton with mushrooms and Madeira cream. Did you ever have that? Rush over there and have it.
April 8th, you're right.
April 8th. It's delicious. Okay. Then I know the Feast of St. Joseph has passed, but we continue to celebrate here in New Orleans because there is a fantastic event going on tomorrow, the Feast of San Giuseppe. And if you are enamored with Italian baking, with St. Joseph's altars, do not miss this. It's at 5 o'clock in the meeting center across from the International Hotel. There's going to be a panel discussion that's going to include Arthur Broccato, Sal LaGiudice from United Bakery. Very hard to find him around. There's a professor from Xavier, and there's even Charisse Harrison Nelson, who is going to talk about the Mardi Gras Indian piece of that. So it's a real cross-cultural. We've got African Americans, Indians, Italians, exactly what you get on St. Joseph's Day. So keep celebrating tomorrow, and there's a beautiful altar that's still up in the lobby of the hotel there. So then we have some sad things to talk about because New Orleans lost one of the culinary greats this week, and that was Mr. Richard. Of course, everybody knew him as Dick Brennan Sr. And just in case the people at home do not realize the significance of Mr. Dick, it is really he who invented the jazz brunch. And of course, he was the one, along with his sister Ella and Adelaide, who made Commander's Palace happen and put all that on the map. But there's a perfectly charming story that they tell about how the jazz brunch started. And he was inspired while they were on vacation in Europe, and there were musicians and they were dining in an outdoor cafe, and he called his sister Ella and he said, that's what we're going to do, a jazz brunch. And if you want to hear the whole story, next Saturday my Louisiana Eats is going to be dedicated entirely to the Brennan family, and you can hear Dickie proudly tell the story of his daddy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much,
Thank
Bob.
you.
You certainly will be missed. And now it's time for our weekly Artist Spotlight. And tonight we are highlighting an exhibit and an art auction. Here is anthropomorphic power figure from the Yambi peoples of Mayambi of the Lower Congo. And we also have an ivory scepter from the Congo peoples of the Lower Congo. And they are both part of the exhibit Congo Across the Waters at NOMA through May 25th. Visit noma.org to learn more. And we have Rooftop at Paris Night. Isn't that pretty? And it's a hand-signed seriograph on gesso board by Ludmila Konadova, along with number 1, a bronze sculpture by Urte, and both will be included in the Martin Lawrence Gallery's Spring Fine Art Auction. That's this Sunday at 2 p.m. The preview starts at 12:30, and it's at the Weston Canal Place on Iberville, right there by the river. RSVP by calling 299-9055. And now we turn to Miss Susan, Tennessee, baby.
It's that time. Where's Deacon John to yell Stella for us? That's right. Well, you know, everything cranks into high gear starting Wednesday night with this great exhibit of Tennessee Williams art at the Ogden with Alan Toussaint's music, and it'll all fade away Sunday with the last yell, you know, in Jackson Square. So it's pretty busy. But this is year 29, and it is befitting, you know, such a great anniversary that we have such a great lineup. And one of the things I love most about the festival is the way it attracts the big names and it showcases the new names. And that is really on high display this year. One of the big headliners, in my opinion, is John Lahr, former senior drama critic of The New Yorker, and author of this new biography called Tennessee Williams, Mad Pilgrimage of the Flesh. And it is a long, fabulous biography. And after you read it, you really know Tennessee Williams in a way you never did before. And you laugh, you cry, you know, it's just really everything you want a book to be.
And this is part 2, The Live Leverage is part 1.
This is a freestanding
Oh,
biography.
it is? Okay, all right.
Because he needed to do it his way, really.
I
know?
see. Uh-huh.
And he's been to the festival before and spoken about Williams and done it so beautifully, and it's just a treat to have him back. And he will be doing all kinds of things at the festival, but don't miss the sit-down interview with Robert Bray Sunday morning at 10. And he'll be on the Reading Life next week, which the whole show, because he was so much fun to talk to. And then John Waters. John Waters. I think we should have John Waters here all the time.
He should live here.
He should live here. He should move in.
And one of my favorite festival moments was sitting there at Muriel's at lunch one day and looking out the window and seeing John Waters walking down the street with a bag full of books. And I thought, yes. And he is doing, you know, This Filthy World at the Joy Theater on Thursday night. But then a double treat will be John Waters with Laura Lippman doing a panel called Hello, Baltimore. And it's like, Good Morning, Baltimore. Good morning, Baltimore. And Laura Lippman has a fabulous new book, Hush Hush, that is, you know, a bestseller now. And she'll be interviewing him about their hometown. And we all know how we love to talk about our hometown, so it'll be a lot of fun. And then Rick Bragg, another honorary New Orleanian with that great Jerry Lee Lewis biography, Jerry Lee Lewis, His Own Story. And he'll be at the Williams Research Center on Saturday at 2:30 with David Johnson from Louisiana Cultural Vistas. And then if you ever think about book coverage or book reviewing, you probably read the New York Times Book Review. And you'll have a chance to meet the editor of the New York Times Book Review, Pamela Paul, who will be speaking Sunday, I know, really, as Sunday at 11:30 at the Royal Ballroom in the Hotel Montleon. And she's going to be doing a panel called A Byline of One's Own about the way women are covered in reviews these days. But then here come the first-time authors. Here come the big names of tomorrow. And I'll just run through some of them because they are so interesting. One is Phil Cly, who is an Iraq War veteran who has won lots of acclaim for his first collection of short stories, Redeployment. And he'll be on a panel called The Warrior as Writer with Maurice Emerson DeCall and Randy Fertel. And we know that Randy, in addition to knowing lots about improvisation, has a certain expertise in the literature of war. So that's going to be a really interesting panel. And that's Friday at 1. And then LaShonda Katrice Barnett has one of the biggest debut novels this year called Jam on the Vine, about 2 young African-American women who start a newspaper. And it's so much fun to read. If you know, we think of newspapers as going away now, but it's nice to think of them as coming along way back in the day. And she'll be speaking on a wonderful panel. This is one of my favorite titles, Sweet and Savage, Writing the Women of the South. Ooh. And that's Friday at 11:30. And also on that panel is Natalie Bazile, who wrote the wonderful debut novel Queen Sugar, which has just been optioned by Oprah's production company.
Wow.
So that's going to be a big Louisiana thing to look forward to. And then Tom Cooper, who is a fabulous kind of swamp noir writer. He's written a book called The Marauders about the aftermath of the BP oil spill that is both heartrending and hilarious, if you can believe that. And he'll be on a panel called Mayhem and Malice and Murder at 11:30 Saturday. And then coming along, we have the young poets who are winning great acclaim like Saeed Jones. Saeed Jones is the LGBT editor for BuzzFeed, but he's also this fabulous poet, and his book is called Prelude to Bruise. And he'll be appearing with Vijay Seshadri, who won last year's Pulitzer for poetry. Wow. And that's that kind of nice interchange between the older writer and the younger writer. And it's always magical to see. And that's at 10 at Muriel's Jackson Square on Saturday with our own poet laureate, Ava Lovell Heyman. And then Katie Simpson-Smith made one of the big debuts last year with The Story of Land and Sea, and she's another sweet and savage woman. So you can see her on Saturday. And Michael Farris Smith is a Mississippi writer, one of my favorites. He wrote a great novel called Rivers about what would happen if the lower part of the Gulf Coast just sort of dropped off the United States map. And it's a pretty amazing book. And he'll be doing a masterclass rather, about how to put the different pieces of your novel together. And he's just really accomplished and interesting. And then, last but not least, Emma Walsh from UNO, My Sunshine Away, fabulous debut. And he will be talking about Louisiana Witness Homegrown Narratives at 10 a.m. on Friday. And then, one thing very dear to my heart, Thursday night we'll be presenting the second round of the Pinkley Prizes in memory of Diana Pinkley. And this year the awards go to Nevada Barr for her distinguished body of work featuring Anna Pigeon, this park ranger that she's brought through all these novels, and a young woman from Port Townsend, Washington named Adrienne Herron. And she wrote a fabulous book called The Man Who Came Through a Door in the Mountain. So that's at 7 o'clock at Beauregard Kai's house. Y'all come and join us and remember Pinkley and find out about some good books.
TennesseeWilliams.net for more details.
Oh, yes, many more.
Right. But now, here is Mr. Williams himself in a 1981 interview with Eric Paulson discussing A Streetcar Named Desire in particular and writing in general.
Has New Orleans been an influence? Has your best work come while you were in this city or someplace else?
I do think Streetcar is my best work, yeah. And it's what I call the most seminal of my work. Streetcar contains all of my major themes. And I wrote about the most, I did my best work on those themes in Streetcar, I believe. But those themes were of a considerable number, I think. And I never repeated myself. More than other writers do, I don't think, perhaps. But a writer's opinion of his own work is not too trustworthy, you know. He's naturally inclined to think well of it.
I would think that many people would hold Streetcars as
Yes,
Tennessee
they
Williams'
do.
greatest.
Yeah. They do.
Talk about understatement.
Oh my goodness.
You know, if I went to Writer's Heaven and heard his voice, I would recognize it. Don't you think you would too?
Oh, we're just so
yes.
blessed, you know.
Amazing.
And
That's
as you know, this is the 29th annual, as you said. And what folks know is that, of course, Tennessee Williams is the heart of the festival. We have lots of
Yes.
other things too, but we have a scholars conference. We have plenty of Talkin' Tennessee, but that is very much a part of it, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And lots of imitations.
Yes, like Stella.
Yes.
But if I was in heaven and met Tennessee Williams, I would want to have a Brandy Alexander with him.
Yes.
That's
Because
right.
that's how he started off every day, and I can't think of a better way to start a day.
And I remember
Works
seeing
for
him
me.
one time in the original Marty's, where that actually the interview was done. You know, but I actually did see him dining by himself, and I know he loved Galatoire's as well.
Oh,
right,
yes.
Bobby?
Yes, he did.
So, and now it's time for New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street. She has a question for us. Last time, Craig Momus, hello, Craig Momus, gave us the name of an early local rhythm and blues song that was about precipitation, and who recorded the most famous version of it, It's Raining, and Irma Thomas. Now, tonight's question. One local supermarket chain had a German name. The other got its name from a local street corner. What were they? Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes: the children's book, St. Patrick and the Three Brave Mice, so pretty, from our friends at Pelican Publishing. We also have an apron and a dish towel, and there's our wonderful Ashley Richard Morris, and she is modeling for us. And it says, "Play it again, salmon." Speaking of salmon earlier, from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. Also this week, a gift certificate for two, courtesy of Vianne's Tea House in Old Mandeville, offering their culinary and gourmet tea experience. And speaking of Old Mandeville, this weekend is the Jane Austen Festival. Visit janeaustenfestival.com to see the schedule of events. And you can visit WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including the Secret Gardens Tour this weekend and Art and Bloom at NOMA. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to visit our program on our homepage. And now time for Mr. Allen. Allen.
Well, with an opening night on St. Patrick's Day, of course, once open bar and the show to New Orleans for the first time. And it's the story of guy and girl, and they find love through their music. And I know that it's really what I would say worthy of seeing more than once. I know you wanted to.
Absolutely.
You know.
And before you say too much more about it, we have a clip. Let's take a look at a scene from Once.
Raise your hopeful voice. You have a choice. You made it now. Falling slowly, sing your melody. I'll sing it loud.
So melodic, so pretty.
Yeah. And of course, that's the music of Glenn Hansard and Marketa Irgova. And again, the guy and the girl, Danny DeWall is the girl, and the guy is Stuart Ward. And they do all the music on stage themselves. All of the other characters also play instruments. The choreography is fantastic. It has been a little bit slightly trimmed from what it was on Broadway when I saw it, but still wonderful to see. Falling Slowly, the song you just heard, won an Academy Award when it was in film, and of course, it still is beautiful. But I recommend everybody stay at the end of the first act. Gold is just a massive experience, one of the most beautiful pieces that I've seen on Broadway. I think you'll love it. And don't forget, get there early. It is a working bar on stage. You can get a drink in the pub, and then during intermission, the same thing. Don't forget that. Once plays at the Sanger through Sunday. Cool. Meanwhile, it's officially spring, and if you didn't hear it earlier, the Tennessee Williams New Orleans Literary Festival also has some theatrical offerings to show. And one of the major offerings this year is Southern Reps Suddenly Last Summer, and that's directed by M.A. Hayes. The role of Violet Venable, I love that poetic name, Violet Venable, is played by stage and film actor Brenda Curran. She's played in the Provincetown Tennessee Williams Theater Festival and actually won an Obie Award for her off-Broadway performance. Suddenly Last Summer has also a brilliant supporting role by Jake Wynn Wilson. You may remember him as a Spike in Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike.
Yes,
he plays Dr. Sugar. And, you know, if I can say there's maybe one little problem in the casting, he just seems a little bit too young for the role of the doctor, but he did a wonderful job. And also, I would say a shout out to Carol Sutton as Sister Felicity. But the glue that really holds this whole work together is Beth Bartley as Catherine Holly, the only witness to what fate befell Violet's son that last summer. And a troubled woman whose promiscuity is the result of an attack and whose mental capability is called into question at the threat of a surgical knife. Again, it's a story that Tennessee wrote back in the early 30s, back when to talk about homosexuality was something that was sort of forbidden, and like a closeted experience, he had to keep a lot of it veiled in words that didn't exactly come out and say out loud what it was. But it revealed a lot about what was written, you know, at that time, what could be said. Good news, the run of this show is going to be extended through April the 4th now, so those of you who hadn't already been able to make plans to see it and unfortunately thought it was going to close, now you have another week to catch it. So catch it and check it out. I think it's a really great experience, and I'm looking forward to having our theater critics in New Orleans see this performance because it is so good. Now, onward. Other Tennessee Williams venues that we want to mention, the Herman Grimma House. Last year they had the hotel plays, and again directed by David Kaplan of the Provincetown Tennessee Williams Theater Festival. Because of the size of the rooms, there are only 25 to 30 people allowed into each one of the different rooms, and the way that you enter depends on the color of the key that you're given. So everybody sees the same one-act plays, it's just in different order. A shout out to native New Orleanian Desiree Ledette, who could very well be back in New Orleans, her hometown, for good, after having lived in New York for the last, well, since the 30 some odd years now. So she's hoping to be part of the hotel plays again and do some other work she's done with Provincetown as well. Now, this Thursday would have been Tennessee Williams' 104th birthday. It's hard to believe that, but again, the festival's throwing a big birthday bash for the Bard, if you will, and we're going to tell you that there's going to be a big party with Keir Delea. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that. If you remember,
2001, yes.
And Maya Dillon. Okay, they're up there right now. That's a picture of them as Big Daddy and Big Mama from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. They're going to be reprising those roles. And again, the Williams birthday bash is going to be Thursday, the 26th, which would have been the 104th birthday. $25 in the Queen Anne Ballroom at the Monteleon Hotel. Then also both Keir, as you see him, and Maya will be seen at the big event that they're going to have, the Blue Devils and Better Angels, a series of readings and short presentations. Also, besides them, there'll be playwright John Patrick Shanley, and so too will be there.
Moonstruck.
Yes, and playwright Martin Sherman will also be there. And I got to also mention, you mentioned John Waters, he's going to be there. It's the night after his presentation at the Joy. Again, the film director whose Hairspray became the Broadway smash. Again, we hope that people get a chance to see that. Again, that's just the beginning of the happenings for this week's Tennessee Williams New Orleans Literary Festival. Again, if you need more information, there you have it on the screen.
Okay, lots going on. Thank you so much, Alan. And now it's time for our picks. Puppy!
Tomorrow, Wow Cafe in Chalmette is celebrating 10 years since they had to do the big rebuild from Katrina. And next Thursday night, the fantastic edible evening that benefits the Edible Schoolyard New Orleans.
All right, Susan.
Next Friday night, check out the edible book exhibit at NOMA, which is a lot of fun at 5:30. See what books people make into cakes, or what cakes people make out of books.
What a good idea.
It is.
Alan.
It's hard to believe, but the month worth of cabaret at Mid-City Theater is coming to a close, but I want everybody to know about a special concert. It's a speakeasy cabaret with Bremner Duthie. If you don't see any other show, this is the one that you have to see. Make sure you see this one. It's all about speakeasies and libations and drinks, and oh, it's going to be fun. Okay.
All right, good. And before we go to my picks, actually, I'd like to share these photos with you. The first two are by Judy Petoni, and they were taken on Super Sunday at the Mardi Gras Indian Council's annual parade. And there's a flag boy carrying his tribe's banner, walking down Washington Avenue. And then we also have the Mardi Gras Indian that's wearing a suit that pays tribute to Big Chief Larry Bannock of the Gold Golden Star Hunters. There is his visage right there. He passed away last year. He was very, very beloved. Next are photos that I took yesterday, actually, of some St. Joseph altars. This is a wide shot of St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church, along with a close-up. It was amazing. It was so lavish and lovely, so much work there. And here is the altar also of St. Dominic Catholic Church, along with some of the ladies who worked so hard on it too. It was really quite fun to visit with them. And now my picks. On Sunday at Trinity Church's Bishop Polk Hall, NOCA students will be reenacting the 1892 arrest and conviction of civil rights activist Homer Plessy. The presentation also sets up an imaginary dialogue between the actors and the historical players about how and why they did what they did. Author Keith Medley will be on hand to sign his new book, Black Life in Old New Orleans. Call 865-1619 for details on that. And the young American organ virtuoso Nathan Laub performs a free concert at St. Louis Cathedral on that Sunday night, Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. It's free. And next Wednesday evening, don't miss Alan Toussaint, as Susan, I'm echoing this, Toussaint in Tennessee, the opening gala for the Tennessee Williams Festival. And that is at the Ogden. You also get to see paintings by Tennessee Williams himself, who was a very talented painter. And once again, TennesseeWilliams.net for more information about all that. It's a special fundraiser. And now, though, it is time to go to a very special, one more thing. Midtown Men, featuring 4 original members of the cast of Jersey Boys, will be performing a concert next Friday at Mahalia Jackson Theater. Proceeds will benefit Team Gleason, the nonprofit inspired by former Saints player, of course, the great Steve Gleason in his fight against ALS. And now we really do leave you with an excerpt from the New Orleans Opera's recent performance of Lucia de Lammermoor, featuring baritone Michael Ciolti, videotape by Craig Kramer. Thank you all so much. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Support for Steppin Out is made possible by local author Barnett. In Notes of Forgiveness, Barnett shares her childhood story as daughter of famed rockabilly singer Sherry Davis. Notes of Forgiveness, available in bookstores and at SaradaBarnett.com.